you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world.
This is the Wrestling Matters podcast where we stand up for professional wrestling.
Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line! Cause Stone Cold Simpson!
Beautiful people of the wrestling world. It is me, that HEAD, back with you for another installment of the one and only Wrestling Matters podcast. How are we all doing? Hope you guys are well. Whatever it is you are doing. Hope you guys are enjoying your sunshine and rain or wherever the hell you are. I hope you guys enjoyed the wrestling this week as well. Right. Today's show, ladies and gents, we're going to talk some news and views and all that stuff. We're going to talk Raw. Talk Smackdown. Last Raw and Smackdown before Survivor Series as well. We're going to talk NXT TNA. I always seem down every time I talk about TNA, man. It's for real. And Ring of Honor as well. ROH. Not ROH as well. So, yeah. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out as well. So, yeah. It's going to be all good. Also, we've got a top 10 Survivor Series moments, I believe, from What Culture. I'm pretty sure I saw a Survivor Series video this week, so I'll check that out as well. That will be up on the podcast later. Plus another part of Lexa Rowe's interview as well. So all of that is to come on this podcast, plus a few other things here and there. Hope you guys had a good weekend as well. Survivor Series. I had a great weekend. I got to watch Survivor Series. I got to watch ICW as well. 2 lots of ICW as well. Even the pay-per-view itself. Fear and Loathing, which was sick, by the way. Fear and Loathing. Oh, my God. And, yeah, it's going to be a good show. So, let's get the promotions out the way then, shall we? The following episode of the Wrestling Matters podcast can be listened to on AJW Wrestling Matters on YouTube, which is the Wrestling Matters channel, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in for your weekly dose of the Wrestling Matters podcast as well. Plus other things that will be coming to the channel as well. At WM Podcast as well, just for the Twitter, just throw that in there as well. Also, you can listen to this on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast. And download it for free as well. Take it on your travels, wherever it is you are going. And also, you can listen to this on the Swerve Talk Network as well. Shout out to the crew, Daz and Co. And, yeah, Max Wrestling, Sunday Segway, Evan McCabe's podcast. Check out Max Wrestling's new thing as well. Max Wrestling apparently has a new thing on there that they're doing as well, so be sure to check all that out. Also check out Sunday Segway TV, Offshoot Radio, and much, much more. You will not be disappointed, let me tell you. And that is a weekly thing, Monday, Friday to Monday, or Saturday to Monday, so be sure to check all of that goodness out. Right. Mystery Island. For more information on Mystery Island, please go to facebook.com/Back to the Island. That will tell you everything that you need to know. Okay? So, yeah, facebook.com/Back to the Island. If you're in the Liverpool area or the Merseyside area, get yourself over. 56 to 58 Oxton Road. And, yeah, get yourself over. There's a lot of wrestlers that go over there as well. Get yourself over in the area, depending on who's going as well. They've had Jimmy Havoc, they've had Chris Masters, and the list goes on and on. Get yourself over there. Hope you guys enjoyed the franchise Shane Douglas. That should have been interesting. An evening with Shane Douglas. So yeah, I guess that was a lot of interesting. So yeah, just check it all out, guys. 56 to 58 Oxton Road. Facebook.com/Back to the Island for more information. Shout out to all the partners as well. OSW TV and Raging Falcon and whatever. And be sure to check all that out as well. So, yeah. Hope you guys are looking forward to Raw tonight as well. The fallout from Survivor Series, which should be interesting. And also check out, don't forget, tomorrow as well, It's Smackdown, so all fallout of all the fallout from Survivor Series, which should be a handful, let me tell you. So yeah, just be sure to check all of that good shit out as well, and also check out Ring of Honor. I haven't watched Ring of Honor for a while, to be honest with you, because I've been busy with other stuff. I've seen a few bits here and there and everything, so I'll be looking forward to talking about that later on. Always talk about Ring of Honor any chance I get on this show, because it's Ring of Honor. Right. I have been very busy this week, actually. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I was working yesterday. I was getting ready to watch the Survivor Series. Managed to watch ICW. By the way, shout out to Mark Dallas, man, for real. Unbelievable. He manages to get the Friday Night Fight Club taping, which was the previous night, live. And not only that, live on Facebook too. And then you can watch ICW on demand, Fear and Loathing. You need to do that more often, dude. Okay? Not necessarily all the time, but this guy had the balls. Despite the fact it was an pay-per-view, this guy had the balls to put it on ICW on demand as well. So fuck it, let's put it on ICW on demand. And I enjoyed the shit out of it yesterday, man. It was good shit, it really was. And yeah, be sure to check out ICW on demand. If you haven't subscribed, then I'm sorry, but you are a fucking idiot. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe right now. Okay, there's a lot of shit on there that is really, really good. Okay, and you're missing out. It is $6.99. What the fuck that is in English money, I do not know. I have to check that out. As a matter of fact, I'll check that out now, actually, as well. $6.99. It is worth the price. No matter what it is in UK money or American money or whatever the fuck money it is just really, 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 really good stuff. And it is worth every penny. Okay. Normally you'd be a little weary of how much how much it is and stuff like that and everything. Normally you'd be a little concerned in that and how much it is and how much it should be and whatever. But it is really, 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 really good. It is really good. So it's worth the price. Just the same with Progress as well. I will be reviewing Progress Wrestling chapter 37 to 38 upcoming on the podcast as well, so I'll be sure to check that out. I'll be sure to look out for that as well. It'll be coming on the podcast very, very soon. And yeah, I'm telling you right now, guys, if you haven't subscribed to both ICW or Progress, get yourself over there. It's worth the price. And I can't wait to chapter 39, man. Chapter 39 is gonna be sick. And there's one match I'm particularly looking forward to, which was Jimmy Havoc one-on-one with Marty Scurll. That is going to be sick. I'm sorry, that is going to be off the chisane, if you will. That is just going to be mental. And you got a small glimpse of that at chapter 38, I believe it was, when in the triple threat match between Havoc, Scurll, and Haskins for the championship as well, because the minute them two came out, they just started pounding one another in the ring, and the champion hadn't even hit the ring yet. So just check all that good shit out, man. It was really, really, really good. Also, check out my Survivor Series predictions. Yes, I'll be doing a review as well, and check out my Survivor Series predictions. I'll be doing a review, and check out my ICW review as well. I will be doing an ICW Fear and Loathing review as well. So be sure to check all of that out as well. So yeah, really, really good stuff. I'll try and see if I can find some stuff to talk about. There hasn't been that much, apart from Goldberg going into his match with Brock Lesnar injured, which is not really that worth it. Whoop-de-doo in that one. Yeah, I want to talk about this as well. I really want to talk about this as well. We all saw Smackdown. I'll talk about this as well a little bit more in depth, but it seems the Undertaker's back full time, which is very, very interesting in a way of, can he go? You know what I mean? I mean, he says that Undertaker will not, the WrestleMania will not defy the Undertaker of who he is now. He's back. He's back full time. So, yeah, I guess he's back for one more title run. So, and there's all about him getting a title run as well. It's now being speculated that WWE may have The Undertaker challenge Styles for the WWE World Championship after SmackDown. Do you know what? I'm all in on that. AJ Styles and The Undertaker for the WWE World title. I'm down. I'm so down with that. That would be mint. And Styles will love that deep down as well. Yeah, and Taker would then go on to defeat Styles for the title. John Cena would then later return and attempt to tie Ric Flair's World Championship. Yeah, that'll be sick. Do you know what? I actually like that idea. Undertaker beats Styles, because apparently it's going down at WrestleMania. It's going to be John Cena and The Undertaker, despite the fact there was John Cena and Undertaker and Randy Orton, for crying out loud. But John Cena versus Undertaker is apparently going to go down at WrestleMania. Why not make it for the championship? That would be sick. That would probably mean then having John Cena win the Royal Rumble, I guess, which wouldn't harm anything. Have him as a surprise entrance in the Rumble. It wouldn't be the first time it's happened. So have him in a surprise entrance in the Rumble, have him win the Royal Rumble, and have him go on to challenge The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And you could build from that point on, or from that point, going into WrestleMania, because you've got 2 months basically after the Royal Rumble, because you've got another pay-per-view in between the WrestleMania, which is, I'm guessing, it'll be Fastlane. So, yeah, how that's going to work. You know, is that going to be a SmackDown pay-per-view or a Raw pay-per-view or a both pay-per-view? So, yeah. But yeah, I love that idea. I really do. I really like that idea a lot, man. I really like that idea a lot. So, you know, be sure to check that out as well. I'm actually pumped for that. So, Undertaker versus AJ Styles WWE World Championship. I'm all in on that one, dude. For real. And that'll be a test for Styles as well. He's faced some big men in this time, but has he faced The Undertaker before? No. So that would be very good to watch. I hope that happens. But I think that's going to be based on SmackDown. I think that's based on SmackDown losing. Because as I'm doing this right now, it's Saturday, November 19th. So, yeah, I mean, and that would probably be based on SmackDown losing. Whether SmackDown have lost or not, you only know that, guys. You already know that. This is going out on Monday. So, yeah. I'm all in on that, to be honest. And that sounds like a great angle to do. Whether you're going to let John Cena tie Ric Flair's record or not, I don't know. That's up to you. You know, do you think that should happen? Probably not. We'll have to wait and see. It more than likely will happen at some point. It's going to happen at some point. He's going to tie Ric Flair. He's going to. You can see it coming a mile away. He's going to tie Ric Flair's 16 World Championship run. You know it's going to happen. It's just a case of when. I mean, this is John Cena, for crying out loud. He'll more likely be the 20-time world champion before he retires at some point. But yeah, I really, really like that idea. If I'm not, to be honest with you. Have Undertaker win the championship off Styles, have him have one more run, and then have him face John Cena at WrestleMania for the championship. That is money. That is money, if you ask me. For the SmackDown side of it, at least. John Cena, Undertaker, WrestleMania. Championship on the line. That is money. Money. And I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. So, yeah, will it happen? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But I'm going to wrap up part 1 there, guys. I'll be back in part 2 as well. So, I'll be back in part 2 with Raw, SmackDown. Raw, SmackDown, reviews and all that and opinions. So, there's a lot to come on the podcast, guys, so stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, part 2. That's right, part 2 of the podcast, ladies and gents. We're going to talk Raw, we're going to talk SmackDown, all going into Survivor Series. Now, Raw kicked off this week with WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens and United States Champion Roman Reigns defeating Cesaro and Sheamus. Talking about a nut couple. But anyway, Sami Zayn defeated Bo Dallas. Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho, and Braun Strowman defeated the Raw Tag Team Champions New Day. Basically, Braun Strowman in that match destroyed the New Day. WWE Cruiserweight Champion Brian Kendrick defeated Sin Cara. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar faced up, which I'll talk about in a second. Raw Women's Champion Charlotte and Sasha Banks defeated Nia Jax and Alicia Fox, all building into Survivor Series. Enzo Amore, Big Cass, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson defeated Golden Truth and Shining Stars. Team SmackDown Live confronted Team Raw, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. But let's talk about it. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Now, a face-off. This would have been better if the security guards, i.e. developmental talent, weren't in the way. Quite frankly, this would have been a lot better. Goldberg standing up, showing no fear. Same with Brock. Brock backed off when Goldberg eventually confronted him, and obviously Paul Heyman had one too many to say about Goldberg's family, which prompted Goldberg to lose his temper and beat up every single security guard, developmental talent in there. And apparently, from what I got, he done an injury in that match. He done his shoulder in that melee as well. Apparently, that's what I got. From WTTV saying that from Wrestle Talk YouTube channel said that he had injured himself during that melee. But then Brock got rid of all the security. Heyman had already hightailed it and confronted Brock. Brock ripped his shirt off, but he backed off. Discretion is the best part of that about it. You all know what happened in Survivor Series because this is going up on Monday. I am recording this, but this is going up Monday, so you all know what happened, or you should all know what happened in Survivor Series. But I would imagine it was a fight, and I'd imagine it would be a fight, and I would imagine it was. So you all know what happened. Like I say, I've seen what happened. Look out for my Survivor Series review later this week. Team SmackDown Live confronted Team Raw. Now, obviously, we all knew this was going to happen. All hell broke loose, and there was a little bit of the Shield in there because the Shield powerbomb, the Shield powerbomb from Roman Reigns ended up going on AJ Styles and basically threw him onto the SmackDown team. So, yeah, I mean, was it a good way to end Raw? Probably. Wasn't the best way to end Raw, but hey, it made Raw look good going into Survivor Series, and yeah, it was just a great chaotic end, and that's what it should be, man. But obviously, it should be a little bit more. The interesting thing about that was Bray Wyatt confronting Braun Strowman, because before the brand split, Braun was in the Wyatt family, and Bray accused him of being abandoning his brothers, as he accused him, and disrespecting Bray Wyatt. So, but it was very interesting to see that. SmackDown, however, saw Miz defeats Dolph Ziggler to win the Intercontinental Championship thanks to his Spirit Squad cronies. Kalisto won his match against the Jobber, and I believe this was just a warm-up for the Cruiserweight match that he had at Survivor Series. Nikki Bella and Carmella ends in a no contest because Raw got involved as well. American Alpha, Hype Bros, Usos, and Breezango defeated the Spirit Squad, Villains, Ascension, and the Headbangers. A little bit of a taste of what's going to happen on Survivor Series. Edge hosted the Cutting Edge with Team SmackDown Live, which was eventually interrupted by The Undertaker, and he had some choice words. And now, like I said earlier on in the podcast, he comes out and says that WrestleMania will not defy him. Now, yeah, it seems that way. WrestleMania will not defy him, and he's back full time, so how big is this full-time schedule going to be, is the question. And he also said if SmackDown lose on Sunday at Survivor Series, that whoever's responsible will be the first victim of The Undertaker. Now, we all know, if you listen in, I believe I said this earlier on the podcast, it looks like Wayne's going to be challenging AJ Styles. Now, obviously, he's not going to be doing that straight away, but at some point, he's going to be challenging AJ Styles. My guessing will be for the Royal Rumble, because AJ's already booked for TLC. He's got a match with Dean Ambrose, so he's got that feud to deal with first before he goes to another feud, which I'm guessing will be with The Undertaker. So it seems that the plan is The Undertaker wins the championship from AJ Styles. God knows what they're going to be doing for Fastlane in February, and obviously there's going to be a build there between John Cena and Undertaker going into WrestleMania, because look, whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, like I said earlier on, whether you like it or not, John Cena's going to win. He's going to tie Ric Flair's record. 16-time world champion. John Cena's going to tie it. Don't know when, don't know how. It's a case of when, I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to do it. It's a pretty much done deal. he's going to do it. So, like I say, it's just a case of when it's going to happen, but it's going to be an interesting next couple of months leading into WrestleMania, at least, to see what happens and see where The Undertaker stands in all this. All in all, Raw and SmackDown were good. Which one was better? I would probably say SmackDown because it was a 900th episode, and it had The Undertaker back and all that, so yeah, it was just great to see, and even King Booker was back on SmackDown, which was okay to see, I have to admit, and he was a very big part of SmackDown as well, King Booker, you got to admit that. So yeah, that about wraps that up for Part 2, ladies and gents. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So if it was a little bit short, but hey, it was what it was. There wasn't that much to talk about on Raw and SmackDown, just them main talking points. Like I said, it's all leading into Survivor Series. Join me for Part 3 when I'll be talking about NXT, TNA, or the final NXT before TakeOver, TNA and Ring of Honor. So stay tuned for that, guys. See you in a bit. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters for my exclusive review series that I'm doing on WCPW, What Culture Pro Wrestling, brought to you by the good folks at WhatCulture.com. Each and every week, I'll be reviewing their shows, whether it's loaded or their big upcoming shows as well, each and every week on their YouTube channel. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel for review shows each and every week. You can also download them for free on SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back to Part 3 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll waste no time, guys. We'll get right into it. We'll go with NXT, Ring of Honor, and TNA. That's right. And then after this, it'll be the Lexa Rose interview, another part of that. Okay. Team CMLL, that's not easy to say, defeated The Addiction and Kamatachi in a pinfall to win the 6-man World Tag Team title tournament match. Taylor and Lee, the guys who've been feuding with War Machine, defeated Colt Cabana and... who was it? Colt Cabana and his tag team partner, which was... oh, forgot his name. How stupid of me. Oh, my brain. You know you're having a brain fart when you don't even remember the name. Dalton Castle, that's it. Yeah. I should remember that, shouldn't I, really? But yeah, Dalton Castle, who had, the last time I checked, the number 1 contenders for the tag belts. I don't know if they got their title shot yet, but anyway. Also, Bobby Fish manages to get his sweet revenge and beat Adam Page for the TV Championship, or to retain the TV title. And then so Adam Cole come out to get in Kyle O'Reilly's face, and then Jay Lethal comes out to end Ring of Honor. So yeah, it's all heating up towards final battle, guys. Jay Lethal gets a title shot in London against Adam Cole, but I think Adam Cole will retain that, and it'll go into final battle where Kyle O'Reilly ends up beating Adam Cole. That's what it's building to, guys. You know what's going down. That is what it's building to. Foregone conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. It's a foregone conclusion. NXT. Find it. I'm not talking TakeOver. I'm talking the other NXT. If I can find the thing. NXT. Let's have a look. NXT. There we are. November 19th, which was NXT. November 16th, NXT results. That's the one. And the quick hits were Liv Morgan defeats Peyton Royce by disqualification. Eliza Sampson defeats Nathan Cruz. Shout out to Nathan Cruz, man. And Andrade Almes defeats Cedric Alexander. Not much to talk about in that respect, but good to see Nathan Cruz on there. Mr. Progress Wrestling, Mr. what's his name? The leader of the Origin. So, yeah, great to see that happen. That's why British wrestling's so hot, ladies and gents, because people are taking notice. Speaking of notice, oh joy, NXT Impact. Oh boy, another 2 hours of oh joy. The results were Eddie Edwards opened the show and called out the DCC, asking for a fight. A video of the trio appears on the screen in which they are all there after chaos and not Edwards' title. Then they come to the ring and attack the champ again, but Eddie Edwards is saved by Jeff Hardy. Jesse Goodaz defeats Aaron Rex by submission. We see a brief backstage segment between Maria Laurel Van Ness and Ali. Maria says that Brandy Rose, who is supposed to be in the tag match against LVN and Sienna later tonight, will not be able to find a partner for the match. In a brief interview, Gail Kim says she had to vacate the Knockouts title because of injuries she sustained. Brandy and Madison defeat, which I'm guessing is Madison Rain, defeat Lola Van Ness and Sienna. A vignette with Matt Hardy and Rebby as he is repeatedly hitting the delete button on his computer while eating a lollipop. Oh boy. He doesn't recall giving children green beans for Halloween. And he says that Jeff deserves to fight the DCC alone because it will teach him a lesson. Rebby then offers to show Matt some videos that will hopefully jog his memory. Easy said than done. EC3 wins a fatal four-way match to become the number one contender for the TNA Championship. Eli Drake hosts a Fact of Life segment in which he expresses his frustrations that EC3 will get another title shot. After some back and forth, Carter accepts Drake's challenge to put the title shot on the line, but with the added stipulation that if Drake loses, he will not be able to talk for the rest of the year. Oh joy. That means basically the facts of life will be banned. Mahalo Bashira wins a match by submission. After the match, Shira is beat down by Bracker and Baron Dax. Al Snow comes to the ring, attacks the tribunal, then shakes the hand of Shira. Jade and Rosemary have a confrontation. Rosemary suggests that the Knockouts title match will be in the steel cage. The DCC defeat Jeff Hardy and Eddie Edwards by pinfall. So, yeah, that's pretty much that with NXT, TNA, and Ring of Honor, guys. And I'm going to wrap that up there. I'm going to be back in part 4. I'm going to be back in part 4 with an interview. That's right. It's another part of the Lexa Rose interview. The Lexa Rose interview that I did, by October 23rd, I think it was. Great interview. It's another part. Hope you guys enjoy it. And it'll be back, and it'll be on the minute we come back from this timeout. See you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kinny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
That's very true. Like I said, I was loving what I was doing, but there was all this negativity about it. It was just taking the fun away, the majority of the stuff. So I had said, I'm done. I'll go and create a podcast, and I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast with this podcast. I've been having a blast with it for 2 years. Yes, I've met some douchebags. Yes, I've met some people that are cool and everything like that. But hey, that's just a learning process at the end of the day. You invite them on your podcast and everything, and you never invite them on again. That's the best thing about it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you be around them wrestling fans that have a say, that have a passion, that are passionate about the wrestling business as I am. And get frustrated about certain things like TNA's situation at this point in time and everything like that. At the end of the day, I mean, want to see great wrestling. That's why wrestling matters, because wrestling matters to me, and it's not just a slogan that TNA used, for peace sake. Wrestling is and has and always will matter to me. That's what I grew up on, and that's why I'm damn proud to be a part of. And you wouldn't believe it. Like I say, if I had £1 for everybody who came up to me and said, "Whoa, why are you a wrestling fan? Why are you a wrestling fan? Get out of it now." It's like, fuck you. I am a wrestling fan till the day I die. If you don't like it, then get away from me. Seriously. Because, like I say, I'm a passionate wrestling fan. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a wrestling fan. It's as simple as that. I'm not ashamed to say it. Most people do see the wrestling business as a joke.
I remember somebody actually compared it to porn, and I kind of got offended because, I mean, while there are certain
I definitely get offended for that.
She said the way this person said it, they made it sound like it's that fake. It's so fake in that caliber. Like, so many people, like, I don't know. It's weird to compare wrestling with sex. Sex is more of an emotional, spiritual kind of thing, while wrestling is a different emotional and spiritual type of thing. Like that's more like, conjoining your body with somebody. Wrestling, it's just
You're beating somebody.
somebody to not like hurt you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's an art. You're beating somebody up in the ring. You're not having sex with the person, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Like, you're comparing love with hate and trying to say love and hate are the same exact thing. And it's like, it is, but it isn't when you're comparing it with wrestling. Like, I don't feel porn is anything like wrestling.
That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
It looks similar on the outside, but from a wrestler's point of view, it just... No, I felt like so offended, and I said, "How about you get?" And I said it just like that. I was like, "Tell that to somebody who takes 150 bumps in the ring."
Yeah, that's why people always say to me, "Oh, people."
And not every ring is the same.
Yeah.
Not every ring is gonna be comfy and fluffy. And,
Right, yeah.
And some of them aren't gonna be like. And all rings are not comfy and fluffy, but
No.
there are some rings that are good, some that are not, and you just can't really compare. Like, I just personally feel you can't compare sex to wrestling. It's just no.
That's like the most asinine thing I've ever heard. At the end of the day, you're taking bumps in the ring. You're wrestling the person. You're not having sex with the person in the damn ring, for crying out loud. That's the most stupidest thing ever. I'd like to meet that person. I mean, that's to me is like somebody saying to a wrestler that wrestling's fake. And at the end of the day, I've had people say to me, "Oh, wrestling's fake, wrestling's fake." No, it's scripted. At the end of the day, and wrestling at the end of the day, like you correctly say, go and take 150 bumps and then tell me it's fake. Or go and take a chop and tell me it's fake. It's just that hurts my brain. That it really does.
Yeah,
Really.
it's especially coming from like a female point of view. Like, porn cheapens like how people view a male and a female.
Right.
Wrestling empowers what it means to be a male and a female. They're two completely different opposites.
Exactly.
And some people will try and argue, "Oh, but it's just the same thing because theatric." No, it's not. The difference is how you view the male and the female at the end of the day. In porn, you look at, a male and a female, and they look like play toys. They look like, trophies to be used and cast away. When you look at wrestling females and wrestling males, they look like champions that are to be regarded, revered, and respected for their strength and for who they are as a person. Porn is not... I mean, porn is just entertainment to get somebody off, I guess. But for wrestling, it's to get somebody invested emotionally in a story and get them to escape for like a good 10 minutes during a match to see a battle between good and evil, and how it works out at the end of the day. And sometimes with wrestling, if the storyline is perfect enough, you're hooked and you're going to want to keep watching it. With porn, it's just it's all just rudimentary sex. It's all like the same positions done over and over again. With wrestling, there's always going to be something innovative for it. I mean, you're always going to want to do something different. With porn, it's just, I don't know, it just cheapens how men and females are viewed. That at the end of the day, my core reason is just how the players are viewed between porn and wrestling.
Right.
Wrestlers are looked at as warriors, as fighters, as, key components to a story.
Yeah.
With porn, it's more about the genitals, not even the face attached to it.
Exactly.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's a really gross comparison.
Like I say, it's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. Comparing probably the greatest sport in the world to something that, like you say, people get off on. It's what? Like I say, go and take 150 bumps and then compare it to porn.
I mean, it's not like you can wrestle in your own bedroom for like 20 minutes, you know?
Exactly.
You end up breaking something, the whole house gets destroyed, and then what happens? With sex, you can just do that pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. What made you want to be a wrestler?
I think my love for the theater really did it for me. When I was growing up, I used to do theater and sports. So I was looked at as like the weird kid because I like to perform on stage, but then I like to get physical. And it was just like, dude, you have to pick one. You can't just be, a drama geek and a jock. You got to pick one. And I chose not to. And growing up, my brother used to watch wrestling, and he used to take my mom to shows, which I'm still mad at. I really feel like screaming across the room to remind my mother how mad I am. But she would go to wrestling shows with my brother and then leave me at school, and it would break my heart. So every time they took pictures and had them developed, they would always like give them to me to see them, and I would put them all in order and ask them, which match is this, which match is that, and when did this come on? When did that one come on? And like I'd put all the pictures in order, like pictures of Andre the Giant and Bam Bam Bigelow and Bret Hart. Like I was so jealous that my brother and my mom would never take me to these shows. And I was just like, it's so not fair. I like wrestling. Even though I was taking ballet classes and piano classes, but I always loved watching wrestling. I used to wake up every Saturday morning to watch Superstars. And I remember when Sunday Night Heat was on. And I remember for my 21st birthday, I was determined to go to the WWE restaurant, which I did go to. And I wasn't, disappointed. It was a really nice restaurant. It definitely fit the WWE, era at the time.
Yeah.
And the food was actually really good. It was a rock bottom steak, I remember. It was a rock bottom steak, and I remember the menus were really nice too. They were like leather bound with a metal plate that said WWE restaurant on it, and it was really gorgeous. Or did it just say WWE? I'm not too sure about that, but I remember that it was just like a really nice setup. Like it looked fancy, but yet it still looked like the type of place a wrestling fan can go to. Like if they want to take their girlfriend who's into wrestling and stuff.
Definitely one of the places where you can watch pay-per-views as well. No bother.
Yes. I remember they used to have Sunday Night Heat there.
Yeah, Sunday Night Heat was there. They probably rolled the pay-per-views. Yeah, it was WWE well, I say WWE back then. It was WWF New York, wasn't it? The restaurant and everything, and yeah, I definitely remember that. They used to always promote that back in the day. Definitely, they used to always promote that, and rightfully so as well. Is that still around, or did I eventually close?
It closed. I mean, it was originally called the Paramount, and the WWE, I guess, was using it for their restaurant, but it eventually closed down. It's something else. I forgot what it was. I drove past it, like, recently, but it didn't stick in my head what it was called.
Right. Yeah, it's a shame, because I met that. They would like to say it was the perfect way to go to watch a pay-per-view. Perfect place to go to if you're in the New York area.
Yeah.
Instead of buying it on pay-per-view and everything and spending all the money to get the pay-per-view, just go down to WWF New York and eat some great food and sit back, relax and watch back then a great show.
Like a part of me still wants to open up at least like some sort of like restaurant bar to be able to put on pay-per-views and have people come in and eat and drink and be able to enjoy a good pay-per-view show and feel the kind of energy you'd feel at an actual live event.
Well, I stopped buying pay-per-views over here in the UK. I used to buy when it was on Sky Box Office over here, and it still is to this very day. But I used to buy pay-per-views maybe once every 2 months, because it was crazy. But it was crazy. But that's what I'm a wrestling fan, ladies and gentlemen, for crying out loud. It was worth the risk. And I used to watch WWE events, get them over here, and it used to be about in UK money at least, it used to be about $14.95, and then WWE New York came along. And they put the pay-per-views on there for at least $9.99 a month. Mm-hmm. And I was like still buying them, and then one day they put it was because at the end of the day, Sky were pissed off at the WWE New York thing. the WWE Network thing coming over here and all that stuff and everything, and they were still pissed off about it and everything. And even at one point, they delayed the actual it being, arriving over here in the UK or being available in the UK. They actually delayed it, and they were still pissed off about it. And then the Royal Rumble came along, and they upped the Royal Rumble to £20.
Oh
and
my God.
that's what I was like, okay, I'm done. Bite me, I'm done. And then I just cut everything down, and now I don't need to buy any more pay-per-views because I just turn my PS4 on or my laptop on and watch the pay-per-views via the
network.
The beautiful network that we have.
Yeah.
And I love that network.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just like gold to me. That was like the old wrestling channel. We used to have a wrestling channel over here as well until somebody made it the Fight Network. And that was good for British wrestling. And that was my first exposure to TNA and wrestling promotions like that. Even Ring of Honor as well. Old school Ring of Honor back in the day with Chris Daniels and Low Key and Homicide and Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and people like that.
There's actually a channel in the North, was it North or South Carolina? We had gone on a vacation. Yeah, it was South Carolina. We were on vacation to Florida. We were on our way back, and we stopped at a hotel room, and I forgot what channel it was, but all of a sudden, I'm looking, I hop out the shower, and I'm looking at the TV, and I'm watching wrestling, and I'm looking at Anthony, and I'm like, what is that? And he says, they have Ring of Honor here on this channel. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. It was like the greatest thing. And then we went downstairs to my mom's room and we were watching it. It was the funniest thing. I was like, oh my God, the Carolinas play Ring of Honor. This is great.
Yeah.
On regular cable channel. It was amazing. Like we looked like a bunch of wrestling nerds. Like people were walking past.
Yeah.
And we had the door open because it was like really, really hot. And we were watching it, like me and Anthony Trigger, we were outside smoking cigarettes and we're watching it from outside of my mom's hotel room and we're reacting to everything that's going on and people walking past us like, what's going on? And then one person looked at us and they were like, oh, okay, they're watching wrestling. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's that normal down there. Like I remember wrestling, what was it, North Carolina?
So.
Yeah, no, North Carolina. I think we wrestled in North Carolina.
Yeah, we wrestled in North Carolina.
Yeah, we wrestled in North Carolina for this in this armory, and wrestling down there, like, and they're really supportive. One thing I gotta say about the Carolinas, they are so supportive of wrestling that they let us support our New York wrestling promotion. They were like, "You want to put up a flyer? Put up flyers," and we got to put up flyers. And, we got to promote our wrestling company to all the people out in the crowd and stuff. It was, they're really open out there in the Carolinas.
It's a shame not all people are like that.
Yeah, down south, they're really, like, a lot of people like to give them the ugly stereotype that they're racist, but a lot of the people down there aren't really racist at all. They're really kind. They're sweet. As a matter of fact, they're opposite of us New Yorkers. Like, especially New Yorkers, we're like the meanest. But when we got down there, we completely forgot we were New Yorkers because they were just like so open, so warm, so inviting and kind that they were like, yeah, sure, you could promote here. We don't care, New York wrestling rules. And it was just like a good feeling to be out there with people, like-minded people that were willing to help promote and support us. And even after the show, they all came to our hotel room and we all had like a good time. I mean, one thing I could say about the Carolinas, they are definitely, when it comes to wrestling, the best place to go to wrestle and just watch wrestling.
Being a wrestling fan, have you had a favorite match that you remember, that one specific match that you really enjoyed sitting as a fan?
Besides the CM Punk Homicide match, because I swear I never stopped being entertained by it.
I definitely need to see that match. I definitely need to see that match. I gotta find that match.
It's oh my God, it's just so funny. Like personally, a match that I've ever had, I could safely say, And she's her name is Masha Slamovich. I wrestled her in the BWF recently. She's actually a friend of mine, and he was telling me about her like months in advance, like who she was and how she works, and she's wrestled in Japan, overseas and stuff. I ended up getting put into a match with her at the last minute because her opponent was running late from another show and they wanted to have her wrestle. So they all came to me and they were like, Lexa, you gotta wrestle tonight. And I'm like, really? Like, really? I was being kind of a spoiled brat that day because I was like in a good mood. I really didn't feel like wrestling. It was just one of those days where I just wanted to enjoy being a manager. And they told me I had to wrestle, and I was just like, who? And they told me who, and I was like, oh, okay, I know her. And we literally came up with a match in 5 minutes. The match was 5 minutes long, and it came out great, perfect. Like, there was barely any, like, mistakes in the match, and the whole crowd was completely invested in it. It was completely great from beginning to finish. We had the crowd up at the peak, and we kind of, gave them a great ending, and they loved it. And I think that was one of my favorite matches that I've ever had. Otherwise, matches that I've seen, I can't even pinpoint a single match in particular, but I know that Eddie Guerrero has definitely put on the best matches I've ever seen. And that's the only reason why I do the Three Amigos in my moveset, because, of course, Eddie Guerrero was definitely a wrestling pioneer. He kind of gave lucha wrestling a place in American wrestling history and, wrestling history as a whole. So it was definitely any match by Eddie Guerrero that I can safely say was a good match. I can't even pinpoint a single one.
Yes, dear already. Can you believe it has been... He died in 2005. It's been going
11.
on 11 years since his death. Oh my God.
But I gotta admire that Vicky was able to keep carrying that name. So has Chavo. And I think his daughter, I forget her name, but she's also a wrestler.
I know who you mean, yeah. I know who you mean.
Yeah. Her name escapes me right now. But
is it Raquel?
I think so.
Yeah.
But, at least the name is still being carried.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to know that even though Eddie's not here and with us to this day, his legacy still has had an impact on us as wrestling fans.
I've been a fan all my life, and Eddie's been definitely on the high of that list. Watched his matches when he had back in the day in ECW. Not many people probably don't know this. Yes, Eddie Guerrero was in ECW at one point. Had his matches with Dean Malenko.
Yes.
As well. The 30-minute Iron Man match, which I remember very well. I don't know if it was an Iron Man match, although it did feel like one probably to them too. But it lasted 30 minutes. It was like a time limit draw kind of thing, and it did last 30 minutes for the TV title. The ECW TV Championship at the time, and then Eddie went on to WCW and had a hit there as well. Then Eddie went into WWE as well with the Radicals and the man to be Brock Lesnar, and that bloodbath he had with JBL at a Judgment Day pay-per-view when he defended the title. I will never forget that match if I live to be 100. Just them two just literally beating the crap out of each other. Or it seemed that they were literally beating the crap out of each other with the chair shots and that blood chair shot as well, man. It was just unbelievable stuff. And
but Eddie made it like he also made it entertaining. I remember I think it was a match against Mr. Anderson. I forget which pay-per-view or which show it was, where the ref was out and he takes a chair, bangs it on the mat, throws it at
Smackdown.
Mr.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
Actually, back then he was Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah.
And he drops to the ground. The ref gets up, sees Mr. Kennedy with the freaking chair in his hand, and then just calls out the match.
Yeah, I definitely.
And I was just like, wow.
The whole lie, cheat, and steal skit that he used to do. I would definitely remember that, yeah. And that was on Smackdown. That was on a Smackdown episode, that. I definitely remember that, yeah. And hell, a few people have used that to themselves as well. I think Sasha Banks used it at one point.
Yes, she did.
During a match with Charlotte when she won the women's title, and using it to get rid of Dana Brooke, which was hilarious. And she's on this, and she's and she's outside on the floor, and she's outside on the floor looking at Dana, thinking, "Bye, see ya." Just hilarious stuff, and yeah, Eddie definitely made that good as well. Then, like I said, going all the great matches that he had, and the match he had with Angle at WrestleMania 20 as well. Right, since we're here, let's talk about the wrestling business. The wrestling business that we have today. Mm-hmm. What is your take on the wrestling business and the direction that it's gone? Or seems to go?
Bitch. My kill.
Honestly, I don't see that the wrestling business is slowing down one bit. I mean, here in New York, the New York Athletic Sports Commission kind of like changed up a couple of rules, which is going to make it difficult for as many shows to be run. But personally, for me, I think that it's a good thing because a lot of these shows are run by egos, and I think that maybe with less shows being run by less promotions, it might just give wrestling a chance to thrive for those companies that really have the promise and have what it takes, and they have everything that they need to be able to run a proper show, to be able to run fairly against, other equally as competitive shows, instead of just like, losing time and money to all these, cheap, fly-by-net promotions that keep popping up nowadays in New York. I think, honestly, from my perspective, it's really too ego-driven, and I think people need to be a little bit more humble, because one minute everybody's at the top of their game, and then the next minute you're either falling to injury, controversy, or something else that's just as trivial and stupid. And that's what kind of ruins the business. There's too much of entitlement. And I think that people need to understand that you can't just get to the top and not think that you have to work for it.
If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast of what it can be today. Hopefully it'll be all back to normal and all that good stuff next week as well, and I'll see what I can do. But like I said, it was all built in towards Survivor Series this time, so if the podcast is shorter than normal or shorter than it usually was the past couple of weeks, I apologise for that. Hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. Quick reminder, guys, Mystery Island, facebook.com/back to the island. Check out all the information on there as best as you can to see who's coming to the island. 56 to 58 Oxton Road in Birkenhead. Get yourself over there if you're in the area and check out all that good stuff as well. I'm a big supporter of that place, and when I get the chance to go to Liverpool, you can bet your butt that'll be the first place I'll go to check it out, because I've never seen it, I've heard about it, and I work with, and like I say, I promote them as best I can on this podcast. So yeah, check them out if you're in the area. Max Wrestling, Sunday Segway, Offshoot Radio, Max Wrestling's new stuff, and Evan McCabe as well. Check all of that out on the Swerve Talk Network each and every weekend. You know the score by now. Just check it out each and every weekend. You know the score. Daz and the crew. It's run by Daz, who hosts Max Wrestling as well. So more information, go and find him, check him out, and just enjoy the great podcasts that are on there as well. And shout out to you, sir, Mr. Dangerously. Hopefully we can get you on the podcast very, very soon. I know you're a busy man, quite frankly. So am I. So also check out Sunday Segway TV with Fame Black. I'm trying to get Fame Black on the show. I've been in touch with him. I haven't had a chance. He hasn't answered any of my tweets yet. I will get back in touch with him ASAP. But like I said, I've been very busy as well. I've got a lot of things coming up, so I've got to take care of that business first before I do anything else. Right. ladies and gents. Also check out, like I said, don't forget to download it for free on SoundCloud. This podcast, that is, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast and youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. Right, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, and everything else that's in between. I don't know why I said that last bit there before, but you know where I'm going with it. Since it's Survivor Series, 10 things WWE wants you to forget about Survivor Series, according to What Culture Wrestling. I can think of 20 things, quite frankly, to be honest. Yeah, I can probably think of 20 things, but that's just a difference of opinion on that one. But that's another issue and another podcast for another day. But 10 things WWE wants you to forget about the granddaddy that is the Thanksgiving tradition of Survivor Series. And at number 10, its spiritual home is Richfield, Ohio. I don't get this. The village of Richfield. I mean, I think they're saying this is because, well, let's face it, WrestleMania was born in Madison Square Garden. SummerSlam was born in Madison Square Garden. Survivor Series wasn't. You know, that's what I think they're trying to forget. And plus, the building that was there before, the building that was there that hosted the Survivor Series, the very first annual, apparently is no longer there anymore. It's been demolished. So I can see where they're going with this one, but, you know, it's neither here or there. Number 9, it was created to mess with WCW. Now, this was back in the days, early days, when the first Survivor Series and the second Survivor Series came along, because Starrcade was on at that point as well. So Vince McMahon being Vince McMahon, you wanted to compete with WCW at that time, so, you know, you got Starrcade, you got Survivor Series. You know, it is what it was. But everything's now patched up and everything, so Starrcade's not around anymore, so we all know who won the war and the Monday Night Wars. But, yeah, I don't know if I could see why it happened at the end of the day, but, you know what Vince McMahon was like back then. Do anything to compete. And he was building his empire back then as well. Number 8, the gobbledygooker. Oh, boy. This big hype. I can't remember what Survivor Series it was, but it was a Survivor Series nonetheless. I think it was 1990, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 1990. I might be wrong. But, yeah, less said about this, the better, I would probably say. You know, all the hype. I mean, this could have been anybody. Everybody was expecting it to be a wrestler. I believe it was Sting at the time or whatever. And then it turned out to be this gobbledygooker, who apparently was played by Hector Guerrero, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, what can you say about WWE stupidity back then? Especially in 1990, for crying out loud. But, yeah, in any event. Oh, yeah, and did I mention Gene Okerlund ended up dancing with the thing? That was like a whatever moment in itself. You know, just whatever. Next minute he comes out, and even Gene Okerlund had to, you know, start talking to the guy, to the chicken as well, which is it was just madness. Number 7 is the clown thing. I think you know, Wheezy, Treasy, you know, Doink the Clown and the Three Dwarfs, I believe it was called. Doink playing Snow White. It was the Royal Family against Clowns R Us at Survivor Series. Jerry Lawler and his band of midgets against Doink the Clown and his band of midgets. Yeah. And you wonder why WCW was winning at the time. You wonder why. You know, we'll compete. I don't know what Survivor Series this was. I can't remember. But, yeah, what can you say? Survivor Series 2015 is the next one, and apparently it was rubbish. I believe the only thing that made this rubbish, in my opinion, was the fact that the champion at the time, Seth Rollins, had to vacate the belt, because he was scheduled to face Roman Reigns, I believe, at the Survivor Series that year. I believe it was. I might be wrong. But then he got injured, and it ended up being a tournament. Roman Reigns wins that tournament, and then Sheamus cashes it in. Maybe that was the reason why it sucked, because that did suck, by the way. But I believe WWE were a little bit unlucky in that respect then. Next one was, it's been better attended than WrestleMania. Now, it was 1997, I believe, 98, and I believe 91 as well. They did better attendance draws than WrestleMania, which was WrestleMania 8 that year, and 91. 97, the whole Montreal kerfuffle, which was WrestleMania 13 in Chicago, and obviously 14 that year as well. But they did better in terms of drawing a house, and that. The house draws, you know, the audience and everything. But, yeah, I think WWE definitely wants you to forget about that, because But we all know WrestleMania is Vince's baby, and that's the main piece of the pie, if you will. Yeah, the next one was Vince almost had it replaced in 2010. There was talk about this, I do remember, yeah. There was talk about replacing it in 2010. Oh, I think mainly it was rebrand. I think there was also talk about rebranding it as well. But it seems that it was losing its juice of becoming, as he put it, and this is Vince McMahon's words, I believe, obsolete. Have I heard that one before? Anyway, but I believe, it was going to get replaced. What they were going to replace it to, I don't know. But it is crazy. But, yeah, it would have been replaced, and we may not be talking about the Survivor Series coming up, or had talked about the Survivor Series coming up yesterday. But it's still with us, ladies and gentlemen. Survivor Series is still going to this very day. So, yeah. The next one is, where did the Warrior go? Now, this was in 92. It was meant to be the Ultimate Maniacs, a little modern day rendition of the Mega Maniacs, or the Mega Powers, if you will, depending on what you see it, with Warrior and Macho Man against Scott Hall, Miz Ramon, and Ric Flair. Now, it ended up being Mr. Perfect, as you well know, is probably one of the greatest babyface turns in the history of wrestling. But where did the Warrior go? Apparently he failed a drugs test, and there was a few other things going on behind the scenes as well, not showing up to dates. Apparently failing a drugs test, which is nothing new to the Ultimate Warrior in that respect. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen, if you heard that. But yeah, this is Sunday morning, by the way. As I'm recording this, bit here, I'm preparing to go to work. But yeah, it was typical Warrior back then, and I think Vince McMahon deserves a medal for giving him that many chances he had. But yeah, thankfully they kissed and made up and everything, and Warrior's now resting in peace. The next one is Vince says the N-word, and he actually did. I can't remember what Survivor Series it was. It was a backstage segment with him and Cena, and he actually said it. The fist pump and everything, the old rap thing. He actually said it. The N-word. And he said it to Booker T and Sharmell. And they just look at each other, Booker T doing his own routine. Tell me he just didn't do that. If that had been anybody else, Vince would have got his ass kicked right then. I would imagine so. No matter how much or what it was. I'd love to know how much money Booker T got to stop or to prevent him from clouting Vince, that is. Because if that had been anywhere else, Vince would have got his ass whooped on the spot. A white guy saying the N-word to a black guy is a no go, ladies and gentlemen. It is out of limits. Okay, black people may say it, but white person saying it, and like I say, if that had been anybody else, Vince would have been in the hospital bed right now. But anyway, next one is Jerry Lawler's rape allegations. Now, I didn't know about this. It was meant to be Jerry Lawler part of a team, Survivor Series team, which saw Bret Hart. It was the Hart family against the King and his Knights, which obviously didn't turn out that well because it ended up being Shawn Michaels' team captain. But the reason why that got pulled, Shawn Michaels came out with his Knights as well. I believe it was still the same three that was used, or was meant to be used for Lawler. But Lawler came out, and Lawler got pulled out because he had some rape allegations, which were false. Although he did get convicted of something, but the rape allegations were false and everything, and you know how it is. You get accused of something you didn't do, and da-di-da-di-da-da. So, it was what it was at the end of the day. And it ended up being Shawn Michaels, which what led to Owen Hart falling out with Bret, or the seed planted, if you will, which led to what happened at the Royal Rumble that year, 94. I believe that was in 93. What happened in 94? I believe it was 94. It was around about WrestleMania time. And all led to Bret versus Owen at WrestleMania 10. So, yeah, to be honest, it was what it was. And that's the 10 things that WWE wants you to forget about the Survivor Series, guys. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. Sorry it's a little short, but there wasn't really that much going on. It was all like hype building towards pay-per-views and shows and all that stuff as well. So, yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed it nonetheless. My name is Anthony Walker. Tune in, look out for my Survivor Series review and my ICW Fear and Loathing review this week. If they're not up right now, they'll be coming up this week. Plus, I will be catching up on WCPW ASAP. I haven't been able to do it because I've been very busy, no question about that. So look out for all that, and enjoy the rest of the week, guys. Until next time, my name is Anthony Walker for the Wrestling Matters podcast, bidding you a farewell. Peace out, y'all.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.